everybody. Welcome back to With Bowl and Spoon, a podcast about food, community, and how our personal relationships with food grow and evolve over time. I like to call that our personal food evolution. I am your host, Shelly Danko Day. So, Helena, welcome to With Bowl and Spoon. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I most appreciate it.
Why don't you tell us about your company, Kia Vida Superfoods?
Kia Vida Superfoods. So Kia means abundant life, great life, delicious, nutritious, wonderful in the Maui language. And then Vida is life. And so our amalgamation, Kia Vida Superfoods, is an abundant, healthy life. It's for an abundant and healthy life. And we do nutritious dehydrated meals and snacks. We do cakes, what we call our deliciously happy cakes. They're deliciously happy and bodaciously delicious.
That's good.
And then we do our holistic care. Kia Vida Holistic Care is our newest release. And we do tinctures, glycerites, and elixirs for everyday body care and health. And that's Kia Vida Superfoods. We cover each part of the life cycle.
Well, you were just telling me about the new grain, new to me grain. That's an
Fonio.
Ancient grain, I guess.
Yeah, fonio. There's a chef from Senegal in New York that introduced it to America, but it's actually very famous worldwide. And it's like, because, so many people are gluten-free and have so many diseases here, especially in the United States, that they need access to resources. And this just happened to be one that we started working with, I want to say 5 years ago. And then we began importing from Senegal. And what I do is I take the grain and convert it to cake mixes. I convert it to meals, porridge. It's very versatile. So I make a porridge with it, and we sell apple, strawberry, banana. Then we do a savory tomato, and we do a vegetable with turkey. And then those are the meals that we put on the shelf from the fonio. And then we do the cakes, the gluten-free cakes with the fonio mix. And we have to add some other things because you can't just bake directly with it. But it's an amazing grain. It has more iron than beef. It has fiber. It's a complete package. It was called grain of starvation initially, and then once, of course, people found out how good it was, they were like, "Oh my gosh, we need to market this." So we worked with a young lady out of Ghana that in it's called Dim Fonio, and she started it with the village women. I'm a Peace Corps brat, so. When I was in the Peace Corps, I worked with a lot of businesses. I went for small business administration and development back in the 90s, early 90s. I'm showing my age.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and so when I was in the Peace Corps, there were several wonderful things that I discovered while I was there. And one of them was called Kinkeliba, and it's a tea. And they use it for almost everything. It's like a panacea in Senegal. But initially, it was illegal here in the States when I first came back. But I was able to bring a little bit back when I came back, and I tested it and tested and tested it. And then when COVID came, my niece got sick. And my mom, it's a long story with my mom. My mom had come to visit me in Senegal. This is how I discovered it. And she coughed for 2 weeks straight. I said, Lord have mercy, what am I going to do to help her with this cough, And so when we went to visit my Senegalese homestay mother, she says, "Oh, give her some Kinkeliba." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." So she said, "I'll have someone make some for you." So they made the tea, and because it tastes delicious, right? So I never thought it had these medicinal properties. And so my mother took one sip of that tea, and she stopped coughing. For the remainder of her stay, she didn't cough at all anymore. And she stayed for a month. So I said to my Senegalese mother, I said, "I need to take some of this back to the United States." She said, "You can't because it's illegal. They think it's hashish, but it's actually our healing formula." So fast forward 15 years later, and I was looking for it again because I was running out of a little sample that I bought. And I started doing research, and it turns out that there was a young lady that was working with the National Institutes of Health at Rutgers that had done a whole panel of research and found out how amazing this thing was. It cures diabetes. They actually created a drug out of it for diabetes. Heart health, very healthy for your heart, high blood pressure, what have you. So fast forward to now, and I have created a tincture with that Kinkeliba extract, and it's a pain reliever. It's an all-natural, non-narcotic pain reliever.
That's awesome. So it's not illegal anymore?
Absolutely. It's no.
I mean,
well, once.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Like
I should back up because once they did the research at Rutgers, the Rutgers tried to patent it, and the Senegalese government stepped in and said, "Oh no, we've been using this for thousands of years. You will never patent this." So at that point,
it's always weird when that happens, when they try to patent something that's just common.
Right. Yeah. It's a bush that grows along the sides of the road all through.
You didn't make it.
You didn't make it. It's natural. So at that point, once the NIH said this is really good stuff, the World Health Organization says now we want you to recognize traditional African medicine. Just at the same time, they recognize traditional Chinese medicine, and so it became legal. So when I was looking for it, this gentleman from Sia started selling it online, and I got it at Amazon, believe it or not. Oh, geez. Yeah, I was able to get it online. So when COVID hit 2 years later, here I found my niece got COVID when there was no vaccine or anything. She was pregnant. And so my mother goes, we need to find that. We need to find that. And thank God.
That was so scary that time.
It was very scary.
Especially for a pregnant woman. Oh, yeah. She must have been terrified.
She was terrified. And so we found it, and we cured our entire family all through COVID with it. And that's what kept us all well, because most of them didn't, the shot wasn't out. I was traveling back and forth taking care of my mom. It was a whole other story. But and then just, I want to say last week, one of my daughter's old roommates said, Miss Alston, that tea saved all of us from COVID. The entire floor of our university, we were using it. And so Kinkeliba, they also call it Senha. So we do the tincture, and the tincture, I mean, it's amazing. Because if you have like a pain and you're like, oh my God, I'm achy, I'm this and that, you take it, put it under your tongue, the pain is gone. And a lot of people say, oh my God, it's gone. I could tell you countless stories of the success we've had with it.
That's really cool. I love the idea of the tinctures and all of the healing things. But I want to talk more about your food, your meals. So all of those meals you were talking about earlier, they're all dehydrated?
Yes, we do dehydrated meals. We worked with the freeze dryer. We had we do have a supplier that does the freeze drying, but we started the company dehydrating the foods, and I just feel it gets a better flavor. It keeps the flavor better with the dehydrated meals. So we do dehydrated meals. We do any variety. We could do just about anything, really. When my husband passed away, my daughters and I went to Spain and studied how to create the meals. Of course, they were in school, so they were studying, and that was what my research was on how to create the meals and working with chefs to get the best flavor and what have you. And so we came back and we started the company in 2015.
Okay, so you started in 2015. What gave you the idea to start this company?
Okay, so when we went to Spain, initially I said, I want to go and research a cure for diabetes. I needed to know, because my husband died from diabetes. And so I didn't want my children to get it, and I didn't want to get it. And so I said, I need to find out, because I know there's a cure. So our journey had started prior to his death, in that we were going to go live in Paris, and he was going to work with his old mentor. He was a musician. And when he died, of course, that dream disintegrated, and like my daughter thought. But no, I lived all over the world. So for me, it came to fruition. I used to take kids all over the world too. We used to have a youth program when he was alive. And so I said, we were gonna go to Paris, but then that's when Bataclan, all of those terror attacks were going on. Mm. And so my mother said, oh no, you can't go. And I said, well, then we're gonna go to Barcelona. And we had just come back from Barcelona for Christmas. And so we lived in Barcelona for a year. We enjoyed it. We did a lot of research. The girls did their immersion. I did immersion too. So we, that's where we started to do the research, and we had access to many, many resources. And so then when we came back, we came through Paris. We stayed in Paris for a little while, and I worked with some chefs there to help me refine formulas. Came back here, and I wanted to feed the military, and the government was like, feed the kids. So we used to feed 2,000 kids a day. We had 5 kitchens throughout the state. We still have 3. And we supply food for them. We supply resources for them. Many of them are standalone now and doing real well. And so, we used to feed 2,000 kids a day. Okay,
so how does that work? Were you in a kitchen, or was it already prepared foods?
So when we dehydrate the food, we have a mini factory down in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
I know where Wilkes-Barre is. I grew up in Duryea, if you know where that is. Between Scranton and Wilkes-Barre.
Okay.
I used to call the Wyoming Valley Mall the Berry Mall.
The Berry Mall.
One of my few memories of my childhood, yeah.
May I ask how old you are?
I'm 56.
Do you remember Bishop Hoban?
Mm-mm.
It's a high school in Wilkes-Barre. I graduated from Bishop Hoban. Yeah, I moved from New York, though. We moved from New York to Wilkes-Barre. My mother worked for the government.
I was 10 when we moved away, so I never even got into
okay.
You've been doing this for so long. That's fantastic.
Well, I used to own a restaurant. When I was 23, I opened my first restaurant.
Okay.
In the Poconos. I catered. I've been catering since I was 17 years old. So I've always been in the food. I was 2 years old when I started cooking, according to my parents. So yeah, I've always been into food science, technology, food science research, making things healthier for people and making it taste good. That's the most important thing. Is my mom always says, just make it taste good.
Well, I guess I did the food studies program at Chatham, and one of the things we read was talking about how all of the flavor labs are in New Jersey somehow, and they're making all these artificial flavors. So that's not what you mean by
chemicals.
Make it taste good.
Yeah, that's chemicals,
artificial.
And that's the antithesis of what we do. We use natural food. So the way that our meals come, they come with the dehydrated portion of the meal put together. So, for example, our most popular meal is our cheddar burger mac and cheese. Our cheddar burger mac and cheese has four things, sorry. It has macaroni noodles, dehydrated ground beef, dehydrated broccoli, and a little bit of soy meat. And it comes with that packet. Then it comes with seasoning mix. That's our proprietary seasoning mix. You can put as much or as little as you want based on your dietary concerns, right? Then we do olive oil. Every one of our meals have an olive oil packet or a clarified butter packet for our desserts and stuff. And what that does is that allows you to adjust however you want. If you can't eat salt, don't eat the seasoning. If you can't eat, fat, if you want to reduce the fat, you don't use the fat, but it's good fat. So all of our meals come as kits that you can put together and make them as, as healthy as you want. But no preservatives, no stabilizers, things like that. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So, okay, you were talking about how you were feeding the kids of the Army, the service people.
No. These were in the food nutrition programs. So these were in the public schools and the summer camps, the summer football programs.
So you got basketball. In with a school district.
Yeah, we did do some with the school district, but they're mostly kids that came out of the school district in the summers that need feeding.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these were all dehydrated meals?
They were not all dehydrated meals. When we were shipping down to our other kitchens, some of them were dehydrated, some of them were fresh. And we were working initially out of the East Liberty Presbyterian shared kitchen. And then we just expanded out from there. So now we have a co-packer that does the bulk of our stuff. And that co-packer is in Allentown. And then we do the smaller amounts ourselves. And then we have a kitchen in Wilkes-Barre as well.
So you're all across the state.
Not just the state, we're in Florida too.
Oh, of course, because that's your second home.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so tell me about growing up. Where did you grow up? And you said you started cooking at 2. Tell me about that.
So I'm from New York. I'm from New York City. I left New York when I was 13 and moved to the Poconos because my mother was an executive of the Postal Service. And she moved us down to Wilkes-Barre, which was extremely, extremely different than being in New York, And but it gave us some good family connectivity. I went to Bishop Hoban, like I was explaining to you, the Catholic school Bishop Hoban, and then I came to Pittsburgh when I graduated from Bishop Hoban, and I came to Pittsburgh to go to Pitt. So I did 3 degrees at Pitt, and then I went to the Peace Corps. Came back, married my husband, and I'm still here. He's not, but I am.
So your husband kind of rooted you here in Pittsburgh?
I wouldn't say rooted me here. He kind of left, yeah. Okay, yeah. Because both my kids were born here. And we had a great life here. We did. We had a great life here. And then, we just branch out because we travel all the time. We started an after-school program in 2006 called the Academy for Artistic Excellence. And that was actually the impetus behind me going and starting food because it was a culturally responsive arts education program. And what happened with that program was that the school district got a hold of it in the Heinz Endowments. And the Heinz Endowment said, we love what you're doing. We want you to take it into the schools in this culturally responsive arts education project. So when we took it into the schools, I was teaching. And it's a cross-curricular approach to integration. And I noticed that the kids, every morning, they would just be fidgety. They couldn't sit down. It was just crazy. So I started feeding them. And I started feeding them fruit and, little breakfast things. And then I would get their attention. So then I advocated for a breakfast program. And we got nowhere. So then I said, well, when my husband passed away, I said, I'm going to start feeding kids because I know that's a need. And I started feeding them after we came back from Barcelona in the summer programs. And then we started in the fall programs. But the state gave us HE double toothpicks. And so we did that for 4 or 5 years.
When feeding children is controversial.
It is. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, we would get situations where they would call us and say, they are already feeding somebody the city is already feeding them during the day. I said, but they're here at night. So why can't we feed them at night? And they would just say, no, we're not paying for it. We're not giving. So I just get the kids the food anyway, that kind of thing. So, it's been a journey. I can only say it is a continuous journey and it's been a journey. And I still advocate. I also work for the department. I was a consultant. I'm still a consultant, I believe. But after this administration came in, we don't know what's going on. So
nobody does.
Nobody does. Yeah, I've been working for 23 years for the Department of Health and Human Services as a consultant, and we work with social programs and health programs. And I see a need nationwide. So my goal is to fill that need as best I can. Try to approach it, and this food is an amalgamation of that as well, because now we're able to ship all over the world, really, and people can have healthy food that's healthy for them and enjoy it.
That's a little goal. Yeah, that's
yeah, we do. We get
you want to feed the world. That's
it's funny because when we were doing the after school program in Wilkes-Barre at the church, I told the pastor, the Lord told me I'm going to feed the world. He says, oh, Lord, child. He's younger than me, but he called me child at that point. I was like, I just have to go with what the Lord says. So he said to everybody, she told me she's going to feed the world. So we just got to help her. So it was a launch pad, launch site.
And here you are.
And here we are. Yeah.
So what was food like growing up? You said you cooked it too. I really want to know what you cooked.
It's funny because I went to my family reunion, my dad's family reunion this summer, and I had never gone to one. And my great grandfather was from India. And he came to America during the time of slavery. He fought in the war. When he came back from the war, he was able to purchase land, lots of land down in Mississippi. And my grandmother used to always tell us in New York, she's like, just know, if you ever need a place to go, you always have somewhere. So we would take it as a grain of salt, So then this summer, my cousin said, we're having a big family reunion. We want everybody to come. And we're having it on our land. So we get down there, and it was amazing. So here, my grandfather's, you said where the food comes from. It comes from there. My grandfather owned 600 acres of land in Mississippi that he bought for his family. He passed it down to all of us. And so he had working farms. He had animals. He had all kinds of vegetables. And he used to take the food to town. They had so much that he would send it down to town with his workers and just give it away. And I started laughing because I said, my family's always telling me, stop giving stuff away. You have to charge people, right? And then I started laughing. I said, well, I guess that's where it came from my great-grandfather.
Bad capitalist.
But I'm not a bad capitalist. It's just, my passion is healing people with food. My passion is giving people good food and seeing it work. So we've got, one of my clients called me last night and she said my A1C was at 11 when I first started eating your food and your tinctures. She said it's down to 8.5. I was like, wow. So, this result. Even Larissa at today's market, when I met Larissa at the Chatham show, she was coughing. She was coughing and she said, I feel so horrible. I was so horrible. I said, oh my God. I'm like real paranoid when people cough, So I said, let me give her some tincture. I said, here, take a couple drops of this. And she goes, oh my God, I feel better already. She says, I feel better already. And so I said, here, take this with you. So then she emailed me and she called me and said, I would like to invite you to come to the store because I want to see what you have. So I sent her a box of samples and she says, oh my God, wow. She said, these are amazing. These will do well in the store. And when I got to the store, she says, I've not felt this good in 8 years. She says, I've been taking your raspberry leaf. I've been taking the Kinkeliba. My husband's taking the Oral Vital. She says, we haven't felt this good in 8 years. I was like, wow. So those are my accolades. That's my capital. That's my capital is that I like to make people feel good. And I do that through food.
So where can people find your product?
KiaVidaSuperfoods.com.
Okay.
My website has all the products. We are also listed on Amazon and Walmart.com. We didn't do so well there, though. And there was a lot of cost involved with that. And so I've not really been refreshing those sites. I probably will at some point, but we prefer people to go to our website, KiaVidaSuperfoods.com, and enjoy it because it has a lot of information about, what natural products do. We seek to work with doctors to help people that are having side effects from the medication, the chemicals and medications that are taking the cells down and causing all this chronic disease. We seek to work with them so that the patients can effectively mitigate the side effects of the medication. We're not trying to tell them to stop. We want them to work in conjunction with us so that they're doing their part while the doctor is helping them with the other part. So we definitely...
It's complementary.
It's complementary, yeah. Exactly. And that's what food as medicine is. We get a lot of companies that put a lot of chemicals, just like you said. And,
so much.
Put so many chemicals. And it's really not necessary. But we've fed that... Now that this taste bud has developed for certain things, it's very difficult to get people to look the other way. And so my research as food technologist is very, very intense. Man, I laughed so hard. My kids used to cry because I was trying to develop the cake line. And I've always cooked cakes, so I love cakes. And I was trying to make it natural, everything natural. So I had a red velvet cake. And I said, I'm going to do this cake out of beets. And then when I was in Barcelona, it's a restaurant, a famous restaurant that created this red velvet beet cake that one of the foodies told me about, and it was so amazing. So
using beets to make it the red color. Gotcha.
It doesn't make it the red color though. It doesn't, So I came back to the United States and I said, I'm going to make this beet powder because I do, we do the kits, and so we do them with the cupcakes. I don't think I bought any this time, but we do them with the it's like the 3 cupcake tins, and then it has the powder mixture and the frosting and the toppings and nuts. And we do, and it's all packed separately, so you don't have to use whatever you don't want to use. You can use whatever you want. And so when I was developing the red velvet, I think I had 1,000 cupcakes in the freezer. My kids were like, I'm so sick of red velvet. But we finally got it, and it just took a lot of trial and error. And that's just really what it is. When you're trying to do stuff natural and you're battling synthetic stuff, it's difficult because people have to be cognizant of that. You have to be cognizant. But I don't want it, I want to serve people good food. So the hospitals were like, UPMC, they said, we really want to have food that is available to people that doesn't have too much salt, have too much fat, have this and that. So my meals were ideal for them. But we were working against the tide with the big companies that don't want the food in there because it's competition. And so we are still battling that to get the food into those kinds of places.
Yeah, there have been a couple physicians who have worked towards, getting real food in there and getting like even fresh food, like to have, and it's impossible with those corporate places.
Yeah, they ask you out. So we're just looking for new ways to do it now. I approached them and I said I'd like to do some markets. They did ask because we started at the markets at UPMC. We started selling the foods in the markets, and the patients' families would come downstairs and say to me, "They need your food here. What is this crap? Yeah. They need your food here." But again, it's still an uphill battle. I'm crossing my fingers that somebody's gonna hear me, and they're gonna say, "Let's bring Kia Vida Superfoods in here, and let's get these people fed and healthy." Because when my husband was sick, the first time he found out he had diabetes, I would feed him greens, and I would monitor his sugar, and I would feed him certain meals, and I could see how the sugar would drop. He had to have surgery. They thought he was going to have his toes amputated because it was a long story, but he had wounds on his foot. And so the doctor had told us that they were going to probably have to amputate some of his toes, but he had to heal from the first surgery that he initially went in, right? So I fed him. I tell you, I spent so much money and time just nurturing him and feeding him and making sure that he had everything that he needed, that when the nurses would come to give him the infusions, they would say, "This is record time healing." Oh, well, he's eating real food. But see, when I met him, he didn't eat real food. He used to eat all the junk, right? So now, fast forward to when he had the surgery, and the surgeon came out and said to me, "You must be some praying people," because I was able to save every one of his toes. And I said, "Yep, that's because it's food. It's all food. It's all food, all what you put into your body. That machine that is your body, it needs nurturing. And when we use chemicals or we take medications that are so strong or have, chemicals in them, it affects our cellular structure. It affects our mitochondria. It affects a lot. And so we have to do something to counterbalance that. It puts free radicals in our blood. It's your blood, right? Everything starts with the blood. And so if you don't have clean blood, that's when it gets into your cells. Things get into your cells and start to disrupt it. And when they recreate, they don't recreate naturally the way that they started. And so that's our goal, is to help people eliminate free radicals in the bloodstream, eat better, feel better. Our tablets, you don't see my tablets over there. We do tablets every day, nutritional supplements that are made with collard greens. They're based in collard greens. And we do some with broccoli too, depending on what our clients want. And we use turmeric, black garlic, fermented turmeric, ginger, black ginger that we ship in from overseas. I've searched the world for the best products to help with nutrition. I'm an herbalist as well. I didn't tell you that part. So
wow.
I studied as an herbalist. Yeah.
I was wondering. Yeah. So what were your degrees in at Pitt?
Development, international development.
Okay.
Information systems, and political science.
And you put that all together with your...
As a chef, yeah. And I studied. Remember I tell you, I was cooking since I was 2, so I've been working with food since I was 2. I wanted to go to culinary school. It's funny.
Oh, yeah?
I wanted to go to culinary school after high school, and my parents said no. I was born in the 60s. So my parents were like, "You have to get a real career," because my uncle owned a restaurant, the first black restaurant in Harlem. My uncle owned, and my dad and my mom worked there. I wrote a book about this. It's called Fun Love with Food. And in the book, I explained how they didn't want me to go into culinary school because they worked in the restaurants before they got government jobs. And it was grueling. And it's funny because time takes things circular. Now, I don't want my daughter to be in the restaurant because it's grueling. And last night she's telling me how grueling it was. And I was like, wow, this takes me back to my parents,
She works in a restaurant now?
Yeah, she manages the Five Guys. She manages Chipotle. She did quite a bit. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's interesting how time circles back around.
Those are... I would rate them personally as kind of high-end fast food.
Okay.
If you're going to do fast food, those are pretty good ones. I like both of those.
Okay.
But yeah. But that's a treat, whatever. But so she's getting a lot of really good experience, so she could maybe help you in your business.
She does. She works for me. She works for me in the business. She manages the contracts here for like the distribution of this stuff. She does quality control because that's her specialty. With our co-packers, she'll go and make sure that everything is going the way that it's supposed to go up here, and then I manage that down in Florida with my other daughter.
Well, that's a better job.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just hoping to scale up as much as we can so she doesn't have to do those other jobs.
Well, that brings me to my next question, which is what's next for your business?
What's next for our business? This is next. This is our tinctures. These are our gems, really, of the business. In that they take 6 months to make. And so we're in our harvest season now. Just trying to be as natural as possible to encourage people to heal with natural products. We did, and we're going to introduce these over at today's market. We did. You're welcome to look at them. Here's some here. So I'm really proud. I love
the packaging is just so beautiful. It's got a little greenery in the bottom.
Yeah, these are our little holiday packs.
Paper and some buds, some seed pods, not buds, seed pods. Mm-hmm. They're really lovely.
Thank you so much. And these are we do.
Very heavy.
I did yeah, it's liquid. It's liquid. Here's one I want to show you. We did so some of this is in response to the things that my family goes through and myself. And so we did, we've had a hard time getting a dentist. Even though we have insurance, some of them don't take it. Some of them do take it. Some, they moderate in how they respond to you. So I said, when I went to the dentist last, she goes, I don't know what you're doing, but your teeth look really good for not having them clean for 6 months. So I said, well, you know what? I take good care of my teeth. And so I make a mixture. And so then when I started the tinctures, I said, one of the things we're going to do is the oral microbiome. Because it really all starts there with your health, your oral microbiome, because your gums can determine heart disease. It can determine your risk of stroke. It can determine lots and lots of things. And it starts with the microbiome. So we do an oral vital elixir, we call it, and it's drops that you take every day. We do the detox kit for the gums. And it's amazing because if you're in pain or if you just need to keep your mouth clean or you want your breath fresh, oral vital drops from Kia Vida, definitely. Cool. Yeah. So this is the kits that we do. And we put the whole kit together.
These are really neat.
Thank you.
So are the tinctures, do you produce the tinctures? Mm-hmm. Okay.
We produce those down in Florida.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is great. Your mail order only, except now you're going to be at
we're going to be at today's market physically. We have some stores in Florida that we have some physical stuff, but online is the best way to purchase it because you get a full spectrum of what we offer. And we do everything by hand. So we don't cut corners. We do everything by hand as we package. So
you're not in any retail stores?
We are not.
Okay.
And, the
except down in Florida. What part of Florida? Sorry.
Tampa.
Okay.
No worries, Tampa.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, no worries. It's, it is very costly, I've learned over these last 10 years, to attempt to put your stuff in the stores because everybody, so many middlemen, so many this, so many that, so many this. And so now our objective is to just do the legwork ourselves and go to small mom and pops, small grocery stores. Even our tinctures we're installing in hair salons. Because, people, we can get the message out about good health in the hair salon. So that's an installation I'm on the way to do as well today. And the hair salon that we will have them at, we did a First Fridays event, real good feedback. So it's Amani Braids on Penn Avenue in Garfield, Amani Braids. We're going to have the installation so people can go and see the tinctures, learn about them, see how they can, stop taking all the chemicals and just work naturally, especially the Kinkeliba, the moringa. We do moringa tinctures. We do soursop combination ones. We do raspberry leaf for women. That's the one that Larissa was really, and my daughter, she was like, oh, God, I feel so much better because it's for women. And they use it during pregnancy, too. In your second semester, they encourage you to take raspberry leaf because it firms up your uterus. It tones your uterus, and that helps with a lot of problems. So we do a lot. We got dandelion root. One of my chefs that was working in the factory got pancreatic cancer. So I'm on a journey to try to help him, and dandelion root is really good with that. Yeah.
No, that's a tough one.
Yeah. And then everybody's stressed out and have anxiety, so we do what's called the mind elixir. And the mind elixir is a mushroom. It's called an adaptogenic, and that makes you feel good. It calms the nerves. It's mushroom and rosemary. It helps with cognitive issues, especially like Alzheimer, And we have to say that all of this stuff is not proven, evaluated by the FDA. I have to make sure I put that on the record because that's what we do as herbalists. But, we know some things work. Some things work with some people and not others. But the one thing about being an herbalist is we just let you know you can't just take 2 drops and it's going to work. You have to do it over time. Now, that Kinkeliba is a little different. But because it's really...
That's
it's
a magic elixir.
It's a delicious... Oh, my God, it's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's like a daily thing, too. A lot of people with arthritis and all these pains and stuff, just having a cup of tea, because that's essentially what it is just concentrated tea. We use the tea leaves and we concentrate over time to ferment and to create these beautiful elixirs.
So are you going to be at any, holiday shows or anything this
I
season?
wanted to be at Market Square, but oh my God, it was like $10,000.
Oh God, yeah.
I said I'm not doing that.
And they don't even give you heat. You have to bring your own. You have to bring your own,
Oh my.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm lying. They might give you heat, but it is outdoors,
Yeah, I can do that. I'm too old for that. My daughter, and she agreed to do it, but I was like, you know what?
So I love that you have been doing this for so long, and I'm so glad to meet you and to hear your story. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Is there anything else that you'd want to talk about? I know you have to go. I know it's a time crunch. So.
Yes, a time crunch. But, I just encourage people to seek us out at KiaVidaSuperfoods.com. You'll learn a lot about health, learn a lot about just taking care of yourself. Our motto is, got pain, we got the answer. That's what we're trying to do, is help people, mitigate pain naturally, as herbalists do, of course. But I'm the chef and the herbalist. So I've put the two together to create something that I think is amazing. I thank God for it and for the opportunity. And we have a university that's doing a study on us starting in January. They're going to do this whole marketing project for us. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's they've got 4 groups of college students that are studying Kia Vida Superfoods and putting out the data for people to get a hold of us and get a hold of this beautiful creations that we've done, the cakes, the cookies. We deal with a lot of people that have gluten sensitivities or celiac disease, and I just ran into one of my clients. It's a whole family with this G6PD gene that can't eat gluten, they can't eat berries. It's a whole thing, and so we've customized products for them as well. The kids said they've never had birthday cakes because of it. So I sent them a birthday cake. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom has celiacs, and my husband calls it silly ass. Just to be funny, because she's had it for so long.
Oh.
It's she's known about it for 30 years or something. So it's really tough, but it's gotten much better to find
the
products.
access. Yeah, I have so many clients that just come with different things, and we do analyses. That's the other thing I want to say is if you log in and you register on our website and you send me an email with some of the issues you need to address, then we use AI to do an analysis. We have Dr. Arthur Lee who works with us to review the files and goes through and tells you what we can offer to you to help. So we don't just wing it and just go off the cuff. We take your meds that you're using. We take your complaints so we know where the side effects are, and we do a whole analysis of people, workup. And I love to do that because it makes people feel more connected to their own health and connected to the objective of healing. What we find, a lot of results are, which is hilarious, is that when people start to feel good, they forget. And Larissa said that too from Today's Market. She said, I haven't felt good in so long that I forgot what it what it means to feel good. And she said, I just feel great. And I just did feel great every day. I said, I'm just so amazed. And I get that a lot. So I welcome that. I welcome the challenge. I welcome the opportunity. And I thank you for this.
Oh, Helena, thank you so much. Helena.
Helena, yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Let's try that again. Helena, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Bowl.
With Bowl and Spoon is written, produced and hosted by Shelly Danko. Original theme song was written and performed by Paul LeBreeze and friends. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, review and share. Follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook and Instagram at With Bowl and Spoon. Thanks for listening.